Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Living in Denver. Today, I'm going to be sharing with you 3 of my favorite weekend getaways if you're living in Denver and looking for a place to escape to that's within driving distance. So you're not going to want to miss this one. These are some local tips for you. Stay tuned. All right, so as I said, today we're going to be talking about 3 of my favorite local, close to Denver weekend getaways. For somebody that lives in Denver and you're just looking for something new and different to try out, maybe 1, maybe 2, maybe all 3 of these are places you've never been before. So looking forward to sharing that with you. Before we get started though, guys, don't forget, my name is Adam Lang. I'm a licensed real estate agent here in Denver, Colorado. Love making videos like this, but what I really enjoy is getting to connect with people like yourselves that are considering moving here to the Mile High City, Denver, Colorado, hopefully figuring out a few different ways that I can provide some value to you. So please make sure to hit that like and that subscribe button, release new videos every week, and reach out. Give me a call, shoot me a text, give me an email, whatever is most convenient for you, and I look forward to talking to you soon. For now, let's go ahead and get started, guys. My 3 favorite local Denver weekend getaways. Let's go. All right, let's get right to it, guys. Number 1, and by the way, these aren't in any particular order. All 3 of these are incredible weekend getaways, so make sure you guys hit up all 3 of these. And again, let me know down in the comments below after you've done any of these. Let me know what you think. So number 1, Glenwood Springs. So Glenwood Springs, it's about a 2-hour drive from Denver. I say 2 hours very lightly because a lot of that depends on traffic. I-70 can be a crapshoot. It can be nothing but smooth sailing, or you could be running into construction, bad weather, bad driving conditions, and just a lot of traffic that's, maybe not going that fast. So a lot of variables there, but on a good day, 2-hour drive from Denver. I actually used to live very close to here, and I actually used to have a business in Glenwood Springs. So this place is very close to my heart, and probably the number 1 place that I always recommend to people when they first move here, or if I'm just talking to somebody that is interested in doing a family vacation for the summer, for the winter, really whatever season, Glenwood Springs is always a sure thing. So a few different things about Glenwood Springs that in my mind make it so special. So number 1, it is close to Denver. With only being, anywhere between, let's just say 2 and 3 hours from Denver, what makes that nice is it's far enough away where it really eliminates any of these day trippers. So you're going to have, people that go up there for the weekend, but if you're going up just for the day, that is a pretty long drive. So because of that, you have a little bit less tourism, less traffic. Just when you're there, there's not quite as many people as you'd find in maybe other mountain towns a little bit closer to Denver, like Keystone, Silverthorne, even Breckenridge, even Vail. Glenwood Springs is just far enough away where it's still very doable in a day as far as driving there in one trip, and one sitting, but it's still far enough away where you don't have to worry about, again, just a ton of day trip people just coming up for the day. A few things about Glenwood Springs that makes it so special in my opinion. Number 1, the hot springs. So if you haven't heard of Glenwood Hot Springs, it's the largest natural hot springs in a single pool in the world. Glenwood Hot Springs looks kind of like a big swimming pool. There's just this enormous pool that has basically the same depth more or less. It, varies maybe by a foot or 2, but it's basically just this giant swimming pool that's heated by these hot springs that are just on the other side of the river. So we, on the Glenwood Hot Springs is just right on the Colorado River. So one thing that I really like about the Glenwood Hot Springs, hitting it up first thing in the morning. They usually open, I think, at 9 or 9:30, getting there right when it opens. They open up the doors. You're the first one in. You got the whole place to yourself. It's incredible. It's just amazing just being in such a large pool, just having nobody else around you. That's my first tip. However, if you're not able to do that first thing in the morning, the alternative is getting there in the evening. So they're open until, I believe, 10 o'clock at night, 7 days a week. Get there late in the day and then just stay there until close. Once the sun goes down, depending on what time of year you're there, it just makes it for a completely different type of environment. If you're on a weekend, maybe a couples, a weekend trip with your girlfriend or your boyfriend, or maybe a couple couples are together, it's a great, I'd say one of the best weekend trips to do in those type of scenarios. And what also is really cool about it is if you go during the winter time, I have so many great memories of being out there and just literally having the snow just dumping down on you, and you're just in this giant swimming pool that's, very warm and enjoyable. And in addition to that big pool, they also have a separate therapy pool that is kind of somewhat hot on one end and it gets to very hot on the other end. And that's a nice kind of an additional pool. You kind of jump back and forth between the big pool and that pool. So anyways, Glenwood Hot Springs, incredible. There's a really nice spa there as well in case you're looking for, like, again, more of like a Valentine's Day or romantic weekend and you want to get a massage or do some other spa treatments. So that's the Glenwood Hot Springs. However, about 10 years ago, they actually opened up a different hot springs, which is only about a mile or two down the river. It's called Iron Mountain Hot Springs. Iron Mountain Hot Springs is a lot different. There's about 18 or 20 of these different, almost looking like hot tubs, really nice custom built, basically just mini soaking pools that all have different temperatures. They range in size, they range in locations. Some are really close down by the river, some are further up, some have natural floor within the little soaking pool is like river rock. Really just different and fun hot springs to check out. If you're somebody that likes to kind of go and check out hot springs wherever you go, definitely also go to Iron Mountain. Iron Mountain is, I'd say, a little bit more adult. They do serve alcohol there. There's still, kids there, but it's definitely more of a relaxed, more adult type feel. The Glenwood Hot Springs, the first one I mentioned, if you go there on a Saturday afternoon in the summer, there's gonna be a lot of kids there. It's gonna kind of have still that feel of like a pool. So if you want more of a, that other type of experience, definitely check out Iron Mountain Hot Springs. And that leads me into my next reason why I love Glenwood Springs. It's actually the Glenwood Caverns Adventure Park. And the Glenwood Caverns Adventure Park is owned by the same company that owns Iron Mountain Hot Springs. If you're looking for deals, you can often find kind of like package deals where you get both of those combined. So definitely check that out. But the Glenwood Caverns is incredible as well. So there are these really cool caves up there that you can either do a kind of like a more generic, just visit through just the very beginning portion of the caves, or you can also sign up and pay additionally for this guided, more advanced tour where you get down and go really quite deep into this cave system. And if you're somebody that gets a little bit claustrophobic, I wouldn't recommend it, but otherwise it's awesome. Huge stalactites, stalagmites, just some really big open rooms deep within the caves. So definitely check that out. But what blows people away more than the caves, unfortunately for some, is that natural part is incredible. But what also is so cool about the Glenwood Caverns Adventure Park, there's all these amazing rides up there now. So, they started off with just, the Alpine Slide and just some of these more basic ones that you'll find at a lot of ski resorts for the summertime. However, here they've got some incredible stuff that's pretty scary even for adults. There's this swing that goes out right over the Glenwood Canyon, which is definitely something to try out. If you're afraid of heights, definitely face your fears and do that one. There's actually a roller coaster on top of the mountain up there. Pretty actually exciting. I thought it was going to be kind of lame. It's actually really cool. There's some other kind of like zip line type rides, and they're just always adding new things. There's also a kind of like a Tower of Terror where you're in an elevator shaft and it drops, and it actually drops you down into the actual cave from the spelunking stuff that's going on. So they just kind of take this incredible environment that they're in and make an adventure park out of it, which is sweet. So kids, adults, really everybody's going to have fun if you check that out. A couple tips, a couple ideas for you if you're interested in going to Glenwood Springs. The last thing I'll say about Glenwood is all 4 seasons are great times to go here. So obviously in the summertime, Colorado and the mountains, you can never beat. Just go up for a weekend and get that cooler weather. However, on top of summertime, I love fall, probably my favorite season in Colorado. I love the fall colors. It's a time of year where the tourism really dies down, so you can really just enjoy being a local and just not deal with the crowds and the traffic that the busier seasons bring. So fall is an incredible time as well. And then winter, what I love about Glenwood Springs is if you're a skier and you're looking to potentially ski Aspen Snowmass, it's close enough where you can stay in Glenwood and then you can just commute up to Aspen and ski for the day. If you're looking to do a ski trip a little bit more on a budget, this is a great option. You could also look into staying in Carbondale, which is basically halfway between Glenwood and Aspen. Aspen's a 40 minute to an hour drive from Glenwood Springs. There's also, though, another great ski area called Sunlight. It's actually in Glenwood Springs. It's very affordable, great spot if you're just learning or if you're on a budget and you just want to go somewhere for the day. Definitely check out Sunlight. And back to my favorite season of the fall, since I mentioned Carbondale a second ago, definitely also check out a place called the Crystal Mill. So the Crystal Mill is this really photogenic old mill that's right on the Crystal River. And in the fall, you can hike up to it in the summer as well. But in the fall, this hike up to the Crystal Mill is just incredibly beautiful. The fall colors, you got this river kind of going through where the trail is, where you're basically going up to this really cool scenic spot. And if you're maybe not wanting to do the hike and you want to do something a little bit more relaxed and taking a little bit less energy, a little less exertion, you can also Jeep, you can 4-wheel up there. And if you do that, you even have the ability to go up over some really high elevation passes, and again, some incredible views. So quite a bit of info I just shared with you guys about Glenwood Springs, but I did that for a reason. It definitely is one of my favorite spots within driving distance of Denver, Colorado. So if you're moving here, or if you already maybe just moved here, or even if you already live here now and you're just watching this as, just something else, just make sure you guys check out Glenwood Springs. All right, so going right into number 2, my second favorite, and not necessarily second favorite, just another favorite place to visit if you're considering moving to Denver and you want a place to go that's within driving distance, is Grand Lake, Colorado. Now, spoiler alert, Grand Lake is very, very close to my heart. My family has had a cabin up there for over 30 years now, so I've spent almost every weekend during some of my childhood years going up to Grand Lake. So this is a place that I know inside and out, and definitely very, very special to me. And it's special though for a lot of great reasons. So Grand Lake is also about a 2-hour drive from Denver. What makes it really nice though is it's a little bit less trafficked of a location within the high country. So most people, if you live in Denver, you're going up to the mountains, you're gonna just kind of stay on I-70 and you're gonna go up over Eisenhower Tunnel and over into Keystone, maybe keep going, go to Breckenridge, Vail, and eventually you're gonna get to Glenwood Springs, which I just mentioned. So that's just the main I-70 corridor. However, with Grand Lake, once you pass Idaho Springs and the town of Empire, you're gonna veer off of I-70 and you're gonna get up over Berthoud Pass, coming into Winter Park, great ski area, and about another 40 minutes past Winter Park is where Grand Lake is. Grand Lake is the largest natural lake in Colorado. It's the deepest lake, period, in Colorado, and it's also known as Spirit Lake. Look up Grand Lake, look up Spirit Lake. You can read some pretty interesting stories about just some of the reasons why it's called that. But Grand Lake for me is an incredible place for families. It's a great place just for anybody that's active and wants to get out and do some adventuring out in the wilderness. There's just a lot of unique things about Grand Lake that make it so special to me. A few of those is, for number one, just how it's not a very hoity-toity kind of highbrow type mountain town that you get with some of the other mountain towns in Colorado. Vail, Aspen, Beaver Creek, even Breckenridge, Keystone. Some of those areas even sometimes can get like that. So what's nice about Grand Lake is it's more of a Western town. You got people going out to dinner in just their jeans and, regular clothes. You don't have to feel like you got to get dressed up to go out for the night. You just have more of that Western type vibe when you're in Grand Lake, which I think is great. You also have a lot of water. So Colorado in general doesn't have a ton of water options when it comes to water skiing, just kayaking, just sailing, just getting out onto bodies of water. So Grand Lake has that very unique ability where you can do all that stuff. We have a wake surfing boat. We love going out on our pontoon boat and taking dinner out there and just hanging out with friends. We also have, the ability to go kayaking. What's also nice about Grand Lake is there's actually a second lake, Shadow Mountain Lake, and they both are connected to one another. Our cabin is actually on Shadow Mountain Lake. And what's nice about Shadow is it's a little bit larger. It's a reservoir. It's not a natural lake, but since it's a reservoir, it's a little bit larger. And there's some other really fun things about that lake in addition to what's cool about Grand Lake. Shadow Mountain, you've got these islands, these different areas where you have really nice kayaking options and just very pristine, Mother Nature at its finest. You've got an endangered species, the osprey, that are flying around all the time over there, swooping down, catching trout out of the water. We've got a bunch of pelicans up there now, which is very unusual. You'll see these large pelicans, big white pelican birds, soaring and landing on the water. You've got a lot of really good sailboat races in the summertime. So a lot of lake activities in Grand Lake for the summertime, and that's my favorite time to be in Grand Lake. What's also nice about Grand Lake, though, is it's it dead ends at the Rocky Mountain National Park. So the western entrance to Rocky Mountain National Park is at Grand Lake. If you go through Rocky Mountain National Park all the way to the other end, the eastern side of Rocky Mountain National Park, that's where Estes Park is. Estes Park, if you're not familiar with that name, my thing that I always share about Estes Park is that's where the hotel that they filmed The Shining, or they didn't film it there, but that's what it's based off of, is The Shining, the hotel. There at Estes Park. So check that out in October. They've got an awesome scary movie festival where you go up there and stay at the Shining Hotel and watch horror movies over the Halloween week. Really cool thing to try out if you're into that kind of stuff. But again, back to Grand Lake. The western side of Rocky Mountain National Park is great. Lots of really good camping, backpacking. There's some of my favorite hikes up in the Never Summer Range. And you also have a lot of really different types of wildlife that you're not as used to seeing in different parts of the state. Without a doubt, the biggest one is moose. So we've got all sorts of moose in Grand Lake. You'll see them literally walking down the middle of Main Street. We've had had a couple different times where we've been out at our cabin or even on our boat and seen moose swimming across the lake. Just, what a cool experience, just seeing such a large, just massive creature, the moose, just right up next to you. They're very, at this point, kind of not domesticated, but they're very used to people being around them, so you get pretty close at times. But obviously, make sure you guys are being careful if you do see a moose up there, especially if it's a mom, because the baby probably isn't too far away, and that's the biggest thing of anything with most wildlife, but especially moose, just being cautious of that. Another thing about Grand Lake Lodge that I love about Grand Lake is the Grand Lake Lodge. So the Grand Lake Lodge is this awesome, very historic, rustic lodge that I actually worked at for a summer back in the day, but it just has an incredible view of both Grand Lake and Shadow Mountain Lake. It's, typical, just, log structure, big swinging chairs out front on the porch, really good meals, really good food, nice bar to go up and have a drink if you don't want to have dinner up there. And if you're looking for a place to stay, Grand Lake Lodge has these really fun little quaint cabins that you can rent out. There's a really nice new pool that they just built a couple years ago that overlooks this great view. So Grand Lake Lodge is definitely a place to check out if you're looking for lodging when you're up in Grand Lake. I will close out this Grand Lake section on just one last thing. We had a really, really massive wildfire in Grand Lake about 2.5 years ago, and it was devastating. We thought for a while there that the whole town was going to be lost, but incredible firefighters up there, had a lot of support from other departments and other states even that flew in and helped out. They were able to save the entire city. There were a few, obviously a lot of homes that got damaged and burned down. There was only one casualty. There's actually, I think, a husband and wife that were older that just refused to leave their home. So unfortunately, those are the only casualties. I guess, unfortunately, thankfully, those are the only two. It could have been a lot worse, but still very unfortunate about losing those two people. But if you do go up to Grand Lake and you drive up into Rocky Mountain National Forest, Rocky Mountain National Park, you're going to just see all of the devastation from the fire still. It's something that's part of Mother Nature. It happens. And now finally we're starting to see, the next phase where you start to see some green and some new life kind of growing from underneath all the dead trees. But it is definitely, a different visual to see compared to what it used to look like up there. So just wanted to make sure you guys knew about that. And again, it was a pretty massive fire, and we were just super, super thankful that nothing major was lost in the fire. So again, guys, number 2, check out Grand Lake, Colorado. All right, third, but definitely not least, third is going to be Buena Vista, Colorado. The reason I wanted to share Buena Vista is, again, it's a lesser known area within the Colorado high country, and it has a lot to offer. I wanted to share this one because it also is in a little bit different part of the mountains than obviously Grand Lake and also Glenwood Springs. It's a little bit further south, and it's basically an area that I've spent a lot of time in from when I lived in Aspen. I lived in Aspen for a long time, and one of the back kind of a shortcut or a back way to get from Aspen down to Denver, or from Denver up to Aspen, is driving through Buena Vista off of a highway called Highway 285. So Highway 285 is great for a few reasons, but I would say number one, it's because it allows you to never once, if you don't want to, step foot on I-70. I mentioned at the beginning of this video, when you're driving up to places like Glenwood Springs or even just any of the main ski mountains off of I-70, you're going to deal with a lot of traffic. You're going up there on a Friday night or a Saturday, coming home on a Sunday afternoon, you're going to hit some traffic. And Highway 285 is great because you avoid a lot of that, because there's a lot less volume of people going to places like Buena Vista and just utilizing kind of this back way down to Denver. First and foremost, just had to share that with you guys. But what makes Buena Vista specifically so special is a few things. It also is within driving distance, similar to the last two places I mentioned, Glenwood Springs and Grand Lake. I would say it's about the 2 to 3 hour range, closer to 2 if you're driving at the speed limit or maybe a couple over. But Buena Vista is cool. It has, for one, very close to there is the headwaters of the Colorado River. So it has some of the best river rafting, definitely in the state, if not the country. It's the Arkansas River, and it feeds off of, again, where I said the headwaters of Colorado, sorry, I meant to say the Arkansas River. And it is everything from class 2, class 3, class 4. I think there's even a few class 5 sections depending on the time of year and the volume of water coming down. So, incredible river rafting. If that's something you've never done before, I definitely recommend checking it out. You go with a guided tour with a company, and they're definitely very safe and just give you a totally different type of adventure to go on. And if you've never done anything like river rafting before, it's intense. Definitely makes you appreciate just the power behind the rivers that we have here in Colorado. So definitely check that out. That's pretty much, I think, from Memorial Day all the way up until, I think, Labor Day. But Buena Vista is also great. They also have a hot springs. So they have Mount Princeton Hot Springs. much smaller and not nearly to the scale of the two that I mentioned earlier for Glenwood Springs, Iron Mountain Hot Springs, and just the Glenwood Hot Springs. But Mount Princeton is very, in my opinion, cool for a different reason. So if you're active and you like hiking, one of the reasons Buena Vista is so great is it's at the base of several of my favorite 14ers in Colorado. If you're not familiar with what a 14er is, a 14er is a mountain over 14,000 feet in elevation. Colorado actually now has 58 of them, and there's several of them within this mountain range where Buena Vista is located. They have what's called the collegiate peaks. There's 4 mountains that are all above 14,000 feet called the collegiates. It's like Mount Harvard, Columbia, Mount Yale. So there's collegiate names behind. That's one of the reasons why they're called that. But anyways, all 4 of those are right here next to the Mount Princeton Hot Springs. You get done with a 10 to 12 hour day, getting up at the crack of dawn, exerting a ton of energy to get to the peak of one or even several of these 14ers. At the end of the day, your feet are beat up, your body is exhausted. If you've never been at that phase of exhaustion and then been able to treat yourself to sitting in a hot springs with a cold beer in hand, that's truly something that you need to experience sometime in life. It's rewarding on so many levels, but it just really is just very satisfying, putting yourself through so much exertion and hard work and then being able to reward yourself and just treat your body to the hot springs afterwards. Definitely check out the collegiate peaks if you're into hiking, and definitely look at the Mount Princeton Hot Springs once you guys get successfully to the top and you've came back down and you're ready to relax. My favorite 14er, I'd say one of my favorite 14ers, probably the one that I've hiked the most and also the one that I brought the most amount of friends and other people with me to, is Mount Elbert. And Mount Elbert is also very close to Buena Vista. And what's nice about Elbert is it's actually the highest of all of the 14ers in Colorado, yet it's not that difficult. It's not one of the more technical. They rank 14ers level 2, 3, 4, and 5, and I believe that Elbert is a 2. It might be a low 3, but I'm pretty sure it's a 2. And that's just referring to the exertion that's going to take to get to the top, the technical difficulty, if you're going to have to use your hands at all, and kind of rock climb and scramble around it all. And also, more than anything, just the danger factor. What kind of drop-offs you're going to be next to, if there's any real danger with that kind of stuff. So Elbert, you don't have that much of that. It's a very nice, gradual, path to the top, and it's just so cool just being literally at the top of the entire state of Colorado, just getting up to the top and knowing that you're as high up as anybody else, and higher than anybody else in the state at that time. So Mount Elbert is within about a 20 to 30 minute drive from Buena Vista, maybe a little bit longer depending on where exactly you're trying to get to for the trailheads and getting started on the hike. But Mount Elbert is at the base of another really cool town called Twin Lakes. So Twin Lakes is definitely a place you need to check out if you're in Buena Vista. Do a little jaunt up to Twin Lakes in the fall. It's one of the best places to see the fall leaf colors. Also a great time to hike Elbert, but also Twin Lakes is just a fun little town to hang out in. We've had friends several times get VRBOs and actually stay in Twin Lakes, so definitely check that out too if you don't want to look at staying in Buena Vista. And Twin Lakes, the name suggests, there's twin lakes at the base of Mount Elbert and where the town is located, and they have boat tours that you can do. There's only one permit allowed on the lake at a time, so there's only one boat on the entire lake at any given time, and it's actually a friend of ours who has the permit. Takes you out on this great pontoon boat trip, day trip, BYOB, bring your own beer, food, whatever you want to do. We had a huge extravaganza when we did it a couple years ago for the fall colors, timed it perfectly. And there's actually a ghost town at the other side of the Twin Lakes that you can take the boat over to, get out, and then just go explore this ghost town, which is super cool. So Twin Lakes, make sure you guys check that out. But again, talking about Buena Vista is a great place to check out. Again, it's close to Denver, and if you are going up in the summertime, you can also take a day trip from there and go up and over Independence Pass, and that'll take you right into downtown Aspen. It's a kind of a back way to get even all the way up into the Aspen Valley. If you haven't ever been on Independence Pass, just going up the pass alone is also an experience, especially if you're on that Buena Vista, which is also that Twin Lakes side of the pass. There's a few sections that have no guardrails and some major drop-offs. So if you are somebody a little bit, afraid of heights or just get the heebie-jeebies a little bit with that kind of stuff, maybe make your friend drive and you can sit in shotgun and just kind of keep your head down for that section because it's pretty crazy. But if you're also into stargazing and you want to just get up above any sort of light pollution, the top of Independence Pass is my favorite place in the state for that. Go up there on a really clear night and see all sorts of, go there when it's really a dark no moon night, but it's a very clear night, and you'll be able to see as more stars you can even imagine. So really fun activity to do with your family or your boyfriend, girlfriend, whoever you're with. But bring a picnic, go up there. Really fun, different place to check out. Again, that's not talked about as much and not really visited as much as a lot of these other places that again are right off of I-70. So guys, with that, Buena Vista, awesome place. Number 2, Grand Lake, incredible place, lots of close memories. And then number 3, Glenwood Springs. Enjoy those hot springs and just, experience some of the really fun activities that they have there that are unique to anywhere else within the state with that adventure park and those hot springs. So if you guys have any questions on any of these 3 places, shoot me a message. All that contact info is down here below. But again, guys, this video is a little bit different than normal. Normally I share more tips about specifically living in Denver and what kind of real estate opportunities are out here and, just different things more specific to the real estate market. But I wanted to share this one with you because, if you're out of state, you're considering moving here to Denver, Colorado, there are so many cool places that you can visit and just experience and get into adventures in all sorts of parts of the state. And these are just 3 very quick examples of just a little taste of what you're gonna get if you move here to Colorado. So we'd love to connect with you guys. Shoot me a message, give me an email, whatever's most convenient for you, and we'll hopefully connect and I can hopefully provide some value to you. But until next week, look forward to seeing you guys then. Have a great rest of your day and get out there and explore. Let me know what you guys think.